In Europe, the middle decades of the 18th century represented the peak of the Enlightenment, an age when intellectuals hoped to eliminate barbarism and superstition and to create a new world on the basis of science and reason. In Russia, it was Catherine the Great who tried to turn such ideas into action, ruling as one of Europe's enlightened monarchs in an age of war, revolution, and rebellion. Born Sophie of Anhalt-Herbst, the 15-year-old princess arrived to Russia in 1744 to marry the future Emperor Peter III. Learning the Russian language and adapting to royal life in St. Petersburg, Catherine detested her husband and took to reading Voltaire and the other philosophes of the French Enlightenment. When in 1762 Peter was deposed and murdered in a palace coup, Russia's new empress began a long reign that was defined by expensive wars, territorial expansion, and efforts to modernize her adopted homeland. An admirer of the energetic modernizer Peter the Great, Catherine's strategy rested on persuasion rather than on force, initially focusing on the spread of education and ideas. But even as she founded the Smolny Institute for the purpose of educating the daughters of the Russian nobility, the empress failed to invest in a national school system. The convening of Catherine's Legislative Commission in 1767 promised to modernize Russia's legal system, but the empress, an absolutist to the end, failed to put its democratic ideas into practice, fearing the impact of radical ideas on a population of impoverished townspeople and discontented serfs. It was in the cultural arena that the empress experienced her greatest successes as a patron of the Enlightenment in Russia, where it was Catherine's personal collection of paintings, sculptures, and books that created the basis for the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. A voracious reader who was personally indifferent to religion, Catherine pronounced religious freedom in Russia even as she nationalized church lands and confiscated monasteries to pay for her wars. To help her run the machinery of the Russian state, and to conduct international diplomacy, the empress relied upon lovers upon whom she showered positions of influence and thousands of serfs in exchange for their services to her and to the Russian state. Grigory Orlov was useful in the coup against Peter III, while Grigory Potemkin, the greatest love of Catherine's life, was instrumental in colonizing and developing the south, which she renamed Novorossiya. Another lover, Stanislaw Poniatowski, was Catherine's candidate for the Polish throne, but when her plan aroused the suspicions of Austria and Prussia, the three Eastern powers resolved on partitioning the Commonwealth, with Russia taking the lion's share. The annexation of Eastern Poland, accomplished in 3 stages and completed in 1795, introduced new populations to Russia, including a Jewish element whom Catherine decreed would be restricted to a Pale of Settlement that would be separated from Orthodox society. When Catherine died in 1796, the empire was larger, more diverse, and governed by more humane laws. Yet Catherine's reputation has been marked by a discrepancy between her ambitions as an enlightened monarch and her despotic behaviors as an autocrat. While Catherine rewarded the nobility with land and privileges, the grievances of the empire's Cossacks and serfs boiled over into the greatest peasant rebellion in Russian history. The most crucial lesson the empress learned from the Pugachev rebellion was the need for more state control. Such was the political education of the enlightened monarch, Catherine the Great.